It's not just looking at my nose.
Okay, can you introduce yourself for the YouTube viewers, please?
Hi there, I'm Tim Swait. I've been flying a hang glider for almost exactly 5 years now, and just over a year ago I took over avian hang gliders.
Okay, and where do you normally fly, Tim?
Well, I live in Sheffield, so my most local sites are around the Peak District, and also going off to comps around the UK and occasionally abroad.
Okay, I appreciate owning avian, you probably fly a number of gliders, but what's your main glider that you fly?
Well, the glider I'm flying this week is Evo 3, so the latest version of the Cheetah, the topless from Avian.
And what is it that you like about that wing?
Oh, it's really nice handling, climbs really well. Yeah, it's a lovely wing to fly. Very easy for a topless.
Can you tell us a bit about your competition and cross-country experience?
I started doing comps 4 years ago, so only a year. So I'd only been flying a year, and I entered the British Open Series, which is 3 rounds around the UK, and then did my first nationals a year later. So not a huge amount of experience in competitions, but steadily racking up the hours now.
And what's been your best competition or your best cross-country? It doesn't have to be distance, but maybe that you've enjoyed the most?
I think the cross country I enjoyed the most actually was last year in the Alps, or the edges of the Alps. So taking off from a site called Lucia, which is close to Chambéry, flying along a ridge and back over into Annecy. And the reason I enjoyed it was because it had been a task which I'd tried and failed quite miserably at in the previous year in the French Nationals, and this year managed to do it. And it was such a feeling of satisfaction when you just get over that last ridge and you see the big field at Doussard landing field, and you know you're going to make it at that point. And yeah, perfect landing as well, and carried my glider over and put it down, and someone comes over to me and shakes my hand and somebody that I recognised from the UK, and had no idea they were there.
Brilliant. Well, that sounds like a top flight. So what would you say your strengths are?
Tenacity. When I'm in the air, I don't give up, and I keep trying and plugging away. That works out. The last comp at the Boss, last day at the Boss, I was really feeling like top landing. I'd been bashed about on the ridge, struggling to stay in the air almost for, like, I think it was about 4 hours and hadn't got anywhere, and then finally managed to get a thermal and get away. I mean, it wasn't a huge distance, but landing after that is a real feeling of satisfaction that you've done something.
Yeah, I was with you on that flight, and I can agree fully with your tenacity on that flight. Well done. And what do you think your main weakness would be?
Starting to lose concentration. When it gets to a few hours in the air, I'm starting to fade a little bit in terms of making mistakes that I wouldn't have made earlier in the flight. I seem to often lose lift, which is probably partly losing concentration. So I'll get distracted halfway up a thermal and fall out of it, and then not be able to find it again.
Now, today has been the first day of the course that we're both on, run by Gerolf Heinrichs. What have you learned from your flight today on the course?
It went really well because we were flying together, so it's one of the first flights I've had where I've actually been flying with another pilot that I know quite well for a fair few thermals, one after the other, and working together. So we were each calling lift for each other, and it was working. When one person found a bubble, you could move over to it, and it felt like we were finding things that we wouldn't have found if it's just been a single pilot doing that.
Last question, what would you say to beginner pilots who might be thinking about doing the competitions but maybe thinking they're not good enough?
Don't just do it. Yeah, don't think that at all. As I say, I entered the first competition with about a year of flying experience, And my view at the time was it was just a good way of getting my first cross countries under my belt and flying with other people, hopefully learning something. I had no interest in the competition element of it at first when I started it, although after a few rounds I suddenly started to realise I was a bit more competitive than I thought I would be when I started it.
Super. Right, thank you for sharing all that with us, Tim. Appreciate it, and hopefully we'll speak to you again closer to the end of the course and see how you've got on. But thank you very much for that. Really insightful and interesting. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Darren.